Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين. وفقنا للعمل بما يرضيك عنا وإلى غيرك لا تكلنا. افتح أقفال قلوبنا بذكرك وألهمنا شكرك واجعلنا من أهل معرفتك ولا تجعلنا من الغافلين. تب علينا توبة نصوحا يا رب العالمين. فرج عن أهل فلسطين فرجا عاجلا غير آجل. آمين. Alhamdulillah, we are still delivering this series which we started probably a couple of years ago now also. Well, in particular, this section which we started probably this is the seventh session on seeking the halal. Based on Imam al-Ghazali's division in Ihya Ulum al-Din under the book of Al-Kasb, the halal earning. So he mentioned that his way of dividing this section, rahimahullah, in Ihya Ulum al-Din, the revival of the science of the Deen, he divided it into 6 sections. He said there are 6 contracts. The majority of business and trade and earnings are around it. So we started with all of these. Now we reach number 5, I guess, or number 6. Not number 6, sorry, number 5. Number 5, which is Ijara. So we've spoken earlier in the previous session about istisna, manufacturing, and before that we have spoken about salam, which is forward sale or like futures, something along these lines. And the contract itself, the main elements in the contract, the conditions, the pillars, and so on. So now we'll talk about one of these very famous contracts, which is Ijara. Ijara, which is lease or rent, if you want. I'll take you through the old one and then the new forms of lease. So going through the old format of lease, I wanted to go through Imam al-Ghazali's sequence, to be honest with you, but it wasn't that very well organized and simple to go through, and it has many examples which is not very relevant. So I decided to go with the book of Imam al-Quduri, although Imam al-Quduri as well, he passed away 420 something, rahimahullah. So I thought it's more organized and more relevant. So this is what I will take you through the Imam al-Quduri's definition and details of Ijara in a very summarized manner. Yes. So Imam al-Quduri, rahimahullah, he has a very famous book called Matan al-Quduri. So it's been translated to English. You can find it online, Arabic, English, or English alone. Very nice, very good. We have taught this book many times in different sections of it and so on. So he defines Ijara, lease. He says Ijara is a contract to transfer a permissible and known benefit, or we refer to it usufruct. Usufruct refers to Ijara. Yeah. So exchange of something for something. So exchange of what here? Exchange of benefit or usufruct in return for a known consideration. So the transfer here is of the usufruct. Like a house. You have rented a house. You don't own the house, but you own the usufruct of the house. So you are allowed to live in the house. Yes. So you don't own the walls and the assets itself, but you have the use of the asset and you pay rent for that. So this is the definition of, if you want, the Ijara. So the lease which you get, the Ijara in Arabic, which you get, this is earning. This is under earning. So the lease is your earning, yes? The pillars of Ijara, according to the Hanafi school, which is not very far from the other schools, by the way, but I went through the Hanafi because it's more organized and simple to digest and deliver. Yeah. Two pillars. Number one, subject matter, which is of the contract, which is the usufruct. Yes, because the usufruct of the asset. When the usufruct is not in place, there's no rent. Yes, if something happened, like God forbid, fire in the house, and person who's leasing the house, lessee, he cannot live in the house. He cannot benefit from the house. So he won't pay rent because it's on, the rent is on the usufruct. If he can't use it, he can't pay, he won't pay the money. Yeah. The consideration here, which is the rental payment, which is very well known. It's not a rocket science, but I'm just stating the obvious to take you through the old quickly forms of lease, and then we go to the new forms of lease. Yeah. So we need offer and acceptance as any contract. Any contract, we have offer and acceptance. And you can see behind me, there's a book of 2 volumes. One of our teachers, bless him, Professor uh, uh, Ali Qaradaghi, bless him, is a Kurdish Iraqi. His PhD was on the consent in contracts. So he made 2 volumes, his PhD, 2 volumes. It took him 7 years to finish it on this concept, the concept of rida in Arabic, we say. Rida, which is the consent in any contract. Yeah. And so he made the comparison between different schools and the law. This is why it took him that long. You can see 2 volumes behind me, red volumes on this concept. مبدأ الرضا, which is this one. Yeah. These 2. مبدأ الرضا في العقود. It's a beautiful book. Anyway, it's not our topic. Digression quickly. So coming back to the definition. So subject matter is the usufruct, the consideration, the rental payment, and we have the offer and acceptance as in any contract. We need the offer and acceptance, whether it's ijara, rent, whether it's partnership, whether it's marriage, whether it's any contract, you need offer and acceptance, which is the consent, the valid consent. Conditions for validity. Conditions for validity, the Hanafis mentioned here 5 conditions. Number 1, the benefit must be identified, i.e., living in a house, or it's not only related to a house. It can be as well sewing a garment, sewing a garment, or tailoring a suit or a dress or what have you. Yeah. So it can be on the use of something, or it can be on the work of somebody. So this person, he's a plumber. So you pay him for his service. Yes. What do we call this? Ijara. Ijara for service. Yeah. Or ijara for a house, or ijara for a car. Yeah. So this is the subject matter. That number 2, duration must be specified. How long? 2 years, 1 year, 1 month, 10 months, B&B, 1 day, 2 days, and so on. So it has to be specified. Yeah. Rent, number 3, rent must be known. How much? No ambiguity, no hidden cost, no small print, no cheating in clear English, if you want. So it has to be well known. in type, amount, and payment terms, and so on. The beginning of every month, or the middle of the month, or the end of the month. Clear. Why? Because we want to clear any disputes. Number 4, the benefit must be permissible in Sharia, usufruct. So what do you want to do with this house if I were to offer it for you in rent? Disco. No, excuse me. I cannot give it to you for disco. Or I want to do a pub. Yes, I have a shop and I rented it out for somebody, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do a off license." No, I can't do this for. No, so it has to be permissible from Sharia point of view. Otherwise, your money will be doubtful or haram money. Yeah, the lessor, which is the owner of the asset, has to be able to deliver. This is number 5. Has to be able to deliver the usufruct. Yeah, I've rented you a shop or a house, but it's locked. You can't access it. No, right. It has to be accessible. It has to be something I can give, I can deliver. Yeah. The benefit can be accessible. Otherwise, the validity is in question here of the contract. Rulings on the leased asset. This asset which I've leased to you, okay, who bears the liability? Is it me or you? You are using it, so you need to bear the liability. No. The lessor, the owner of the asset, bears the liability of the leased asset, except in cases where damage occurs due to the lessee's transgression or misuse or negligence. He left the water open and then he flooded the whole flat. Who's responsible for this? Me as the asset owner, or the uh, person who rented the house from me? Of course, this is his negligence. He should be responsible. Otherwise, the major things in the house, it's on me. For instance, the boiler stopped. This is my property. And he did not do anything or any damage or misuse to the boiler. I have to fix it. It's not his fault. Yeah. And so on. So we have minor and major things. The major things, usually it's on the owner of the asset. The minor things, usually, like cleaning the carpet, cleaning the walls and what have you, he's using it. Yeah. Cleaning the dust, it's on him, not on me. Yeah. Because he's using it. The lessee must preserve the property and not misuse it. Otherwise, he's responsible and liable. And he must use it within what is permissible in the contract. I have agreed to lease it for you for personal use. And you started using it for business and for friends and families and I don't know what, and it's misusing the property. I was expecting 2 people to live in the property. Now you have 10 people. No, this is not acceptable, and this is not the contract which we signed. And many times some people will say, even put conditions on you. If you smoke, I can't rent it to you. If you do this, I can't, I don't know what, give it to you. If you have babies, I cannot rent it to you. Oh, if you have cats, I cannot rent it to you. You have to abide to these regulations and rules. Otherwise, don't sign an agreement and then go against the conditions which you agreed upon. The rental payment, it has to be known. And it's only due when you receive the usufruct of the asset. If you can't use the usufruct of the asset, then you don't pay a rent. As I mentioned earlier, like flood or a fire or an earthquake or something like this, prevented you from using the house, then you don't pay the rent because you can't use it. So when you can use it, you pay the usufruct and the rent. Yeah. Rent can be paid in advance or deferred, up to you. He can pay you 1 year in advance, or he can say, I'll pay you at the end of the year, or I can pay you every month or every week, depends. Yeah. It's all about agreement. The termination of this contract. The contract automatically terminates if the asset is destroyed. It terminates. That's it. It may be terminated if the usufruct becomes unattainable as well. If terminated midterm, i.e. we have 1 year, after 6 months something happened and then I can't use this house anymore, then the rent is calculated only for the period of the actual use. That's it. Fair deal with both sides. You used it for 6 months, you pay 6 months. Although the contract is for 1 year, but you can't use it for the remainder of the year, you don't pay. Even if you paid in advance, I have to return it back to you. Yeah. Unless now it was your fault and you caused this very damage, it's a different story. And this is in general the usufruct of an asset. Now we have a different ijara. Yeah. So إجارة الأعيان, إجارة for assets, or إجارة الأشخاص, or إجارة for people, personal إجارة, like tailor. You are paying for his service, for this particular service. So it's إجارة الأشخاص. I have paid a tailor to do this for me. So I'm paying the person for his expertise and his knowledge, or a teacher to teach my kids, like in schools. Yeah. So you pay the teacher. This is what the teacher is getting, is a rent for a service which he's delivering. Or a builder, construction, you pay for his service, or a plumber, or a dentist, or you name it. All of this, we call it hire for services, or rent for services, or something along these lines. Yeah. So it has to be, again, to avoid any ambiguity, we need to be clear what I'm paying for. So I'm paying for 2 hours teaching per day, this subject matter, and so on. I'm paying for dental hygiene. I'm paying for a long dress fabric, this color, or this thick, or this, I don't know what, yeah, style, and the rest of it. So everything has to be clear. Yeah. So as you can see, this is in general the summary of the Ijara, one of the very common contracts which we use since hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years. Now we have new forms of Ijara. The new forms of Ijara which we use in Islamic banking, for instance, something we call the operational Ijara. Operational Ijara, like what? Like vehicle rentals, which you call it the auto finance. Yeah. office and residential leases. This is in somehow new forms of rental. Yes. Leasing of equipment and machinery. This is new forms. Still the same concept, but we can use in different shapes and forms. So again, it's the same concept. You don't own the asset, the vehicle. I have a car, you rented the car. Yes? Car rental business. You have offered the car for rental. People pay for the use of the car for 1 day, for 1 week, 10 weeks, and what have you. They pay for the use of the car, but they don't own the car. Yeah. Or the office and residential leases. The same thing. You have a building divided into different offices. People come and they might share the space and pay for the use per hour. It can happen, and it is happening actually. Or they can pay for the desk or for the room or for a floor, complete floor, depends. Yeah. Again, this is under the lease and rental, Ijara, all Ijara. We have another form of Ijara, which we call it Ijara منتهية بالتمليك. But the translation, lease ending with ownership. Lease ending with ownership. That the scenario here, usually it's in cars, usually, but it can be beyond this. I'll take you through it, inshallah. So let's start with the car. You are a driver, taxi driver, but you can't buy a car from your own pocket. You don't have the money which will allow you to buy the car. For instance, in our scenario here in London or in the UK, people want to increase their income. Although they are working and they are from 8 to 5, etc., but still income is not enough. They want to increase their income. What do? Usually, I know many people like this. They will register with Uber, and Uber has conditions. The car has to be 2 years old or something like this. I forgot the details, but something along these lines. A new car, almost a new car. You don't have 30,000 in cash to pay the new car, or 25, or something along these lines, even more sometimes. So what do? You lease a car. But the problem with leasing the car, the auto finance, it has the majority of it. It has the interest clause. You pay interest for this. And then this render the contract haram. It makes it haram. You can't do this. But if you were to search properly and deeply, you will find, and again, I know that some people did this, and I speak from experience. There are some companies, big companies, by the way, big names. They have introduced, I'm not sure when, but recently, more likely, they introduced zero interest car finance. Zero interest. You pay for 5 years, zero interest. That's fine. It has no problem here. Yes, because it has no interest, no, if you want haram stuff included in the contract, then that's fine. And it's like paying monthly payment, installments. So it's like you are hiring the car, and then slowly you are getting the shares from the car. The end of the 5 years, the car will be yours. This is إجارة منتهية بالتمليك. But here we have to go through the details, fiqh details. It is permissible form of transfer. But number one, we need to have a sale contract at the end of the term. So we have lease contract on one side, not in one contract, two contracts. Lease, you pay lease for 5 years. Towards the end, you have to have a sale contract. After you've finished the payments in full, then you have to have another contract. It might be, usually it's the case, a gift. Yes, at the end of the term, because you paid all the rental payments on time, etc., then you will be gifted this car. You already paid the due amount of the price of the car, so they will gift it to you, or nominal agreed price, sale price, for £1,000, £500, something nominal. It's not 10,000 or big deal. It's something nominal. Sometimes they say £1, just like a sale, if you want, for nominal fee. And what will happen here, there is a promise of sale, a binding promise of sale. When you sign the contract first, they will sign a binding promise of sale towards the end. What if I finished pay the payments and you didn't sell it to me? No, you have to have a binding promise that after I finish the payments for 5 years, you will sell it to me for nominal fee or gift, conditional gift. Yeah. The transfer of ownership, which we call it diminishing ownership. And we'll come back to this later, inshallah. It diminishes. The ownership of the owner diminishes over the 5 years. The more you pay rent, my ownership diminishes from 100% to 90, 80, 70, etc. till 0% at the end of 5 years. This is why we call it diminishing ownership. Yeah. So it begins with a lease and ends with ownership. This is why we call it إجارة منتهية بالتمليك, lease ending with ownership, which is a new form of lease, if you want. We can apply this, and it is already in application for machinery. For factories, they can't afford to renew their machinery and increase their exposure to new businesses and so on and so forth. So they will go and do a deal with the bank, Islamic bank. The Islamic bank will finance the new machinery and rent it to them for 5 years, or give or take 7 years, 10 years, 3 years, whatever. Yeah. And the contract will be diminishing, or إجارة منتهية بالتمليك, lease ending with ownership on that basis. Yeah. We can use this as well, the same concept, إجارة منتهية بالتمليك, with car finance, machinery finance, with as well, the very common practice is housing. Housing, which we have now, a home purchase plan, HPP, which we call it in the UK. home purchase plan. Instead of saying mortgage, we don't say mortgage. We say it's home purchase plan, HPP. Yeah. So in the HPP, we follow this sequence. It starts with Ijara, yes, ends with ownership. Based on the credit checks and what have you, it might be 10 years, it might be 20 years, it might be less, more, but the very common is 20 years. Yeah, can be less, very easy, but it's up to your finances and the validity of the documents and so on and so forth. Yeah. So here it starts with rent. You pay rent for 10 years, and then towards the end you have another contract which you sign, a promise to sell or to gift. Yeah, that's it. Or we have the other form, which is in practice, diminishing partnership. Not, you can see the similarities between the two easily. It's not lease ending with ownership. In the UK, we don't use this, but we use diminishing partnership. الشركة المتناقصة. Diminishing partnership, it's a similar thing, very similar, because you pay, we have two contracts. The lease contract and partnership contract. The partnership, you pay deposit, like say 20%. I pay as an Islamic bank, 80%. So we are partners, 80-20. So you pay every month. We divide the shares over the 20 years, say the agreement upon time is 20 years. So we divide the shares, the 80% shares, over 20 years. And every month you buy shares from me. So my partnership with you is 80-20. After the first year, it goes from 80 to say 75, and then 70, and then 60, etc., till year 20. Or it can be before if you paid lump sum. It can be before. So the shares are diminishing. The ownership is diminishing. Yes? So this is on one side. The other side, the 80% of my shares, you are living in my house or our house. You own 20, I own 80. I lease the 80% of my shares, or my shares actually, I lease my shares to you because you are living in the house. So you pay me rent for the 80%. Yes, and this as well diminishes slowly. So the contract on a monthly basis, it has two components. One for the lease, one for the shares. And these are two separate. Yeah. So this is why we call it diminishing partnership. Diminishing partnership. Okay. So at the end of the 20 years, there's no rental anymore because you already owned all the shares. So I'm out of it after 20 years. And then it becomes yours 100%. So this is in general the Ijara, the old and the new forms of Ijara, which we use. Auto financing, home financing, project and equipment financing. Yeah. So that's, if you want, in summary, that Ijara ending with ownership. We have operational Ijara, a pure lease of usufruct, and we have to have separate contracts depends on the form of lease which we have and the contract which we have.
Could you just give a practical example in terms of how much could it be, like the rent or the lease and the ownership part, just so we understand? £800 for rent a month, £200 for the other one, and you're saying
all depends
give us an
on
example.
the market.
Mm.
For instance, a similar house in the area, how much it's being rented? Say £3,000, £2,000, £10. Depends. So accordingly, they decide, and review every 1 year or 2 years or 6 months, depends on the fluctuation in the market.
Okay.
But usually every year they review it, or sometimes every 3 years they do a review for
So say the average rent in the area is £2,000, which
yeah.
is cheap.
Yeah.
So what would be, the lease, and what would be the share of the ownership?
Yeah, let's see. You have 20%, I have 80%. You do the calculation. Yes? So I reduce from the 100, the 2000, I reduce 20%. And I charge you for the 80% mine, because the 20 is yours. So I will not charge you for yours because this is yours.
But I mean,
Did you get the point?
how has it become mine? Have I made a down payment of a few hundred thousand or what?
Listen. The house, let's say the house worth 100,000, yeah? You
600,000.
have 20,000. You paid 20% of the house.
Okay.
I paid 80%, 80,000. You paid 20, I paid 80. So we are partners. 80, 20. I lease you my 80%. Yeah?
Mm.
But not the 20 because it's yours. I
Yeah.
cannot lease you the 20. This is yours. I cannot lease it to you. I only can lease you my part.
Yeah.
And after 1-2 years, my part will be 70. Then I lease the 70. That the rent will reduce over the years.
So say
Will
the rent is
reduce from 2,000 to 500 to 300 to 100.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yes.
So say the average rent is 2,000, but
Yes.
you're only charging for 80% of that. So
Yes.
you're charging
Yes.
1,600 per month, and
Yes.
then for 2 years, and then you do a review, and
Yes.
then you add up 2 years.
Yeah, but don't forget, you are buying shares from me. So it will be, they will do it in a way to keep it balanced throughout the 20 years, almost. It will be reduced, not dramatically. Unless you pay a lump sum, it will be reduced dramatically, yes.
Okay.
You see? So they make it like stable, sort of, on a monthly basis, stable. So you won't see, for instance, 1 month it's 2,000, 1 month it's 500. There's nothing like this. It's just stable. Yeah.
And these are the kind of contracts one can get nowadays, today.
Yeah,
In the market?
that's the common contract in all Islamic banks. All Islamic banks, they do the HPP, house purchase finance. It's based on Ijara, not Ijara, sorry. It's based on Sharika al-Mutanaqisa, diminishing partnership. All the existing HPPs are based on this.
Could you tell us which some companies where one can go to and check it out?
For instance, you have Arrayan, you have Gatehouse, you have recently, last year, that it's been converted to fully operating Islamic bank, the Kuwait Finance House, which is off Oxford Street. The very big. It's even competing with Arrayan. Big Kuwait Finance House.
Okay, so if this is really interesting, so one could
FIDA as well, as some of the attendees mentioned. The FIDA, but the FIDA, they are so small. This is the problem. Alhamdulillah, it's good that we have something new as well, yeah? But they are so small, so they can't cater for many people. There's a long queue.
And they do this no matter what the value of the house is. If the house is 2 million, 5 million, 1 million.
It's the big companies, of course, the bigger the ticket, the better. But they won't cater for 100,000, 200,000, something like that. Small tickets, they are not interested. Like a Rayyan, they are not interested.
And what sort of I don't know what they would call it. They don't call it interest, but what sort of charge are they charging?
Yeah, I told you they make their profit from the rent. This is where they make their profit.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And then and how do you calculate, the rent and all of that?
They have special mechanism,
Comparables.
special formula, etc.
Okay.
It's their business, but yeah, you can check it online and see how do they calculate it.
And
But
is
they
this
have a
only for
special
Muslims
formula
or also non-Muslims?
available for everyone.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to buy this from the bank, they can sell it to him.
Is this a cheaper way of getting a mortgage? It's a halal way, I presume.
It's not cheaper, no. At the moment, it's not. But there are some newcomers, inshallah ta'ala, to the market. I'm involved with some. I know exactly what I'm saying. Well, I cannot tell you anything now, but inshallah, there are newcomers to the market, will be cheaper.
And when are they
Inshallah.
coming to the market, please?
When?
Yeah.
Inshallah, hopefully, within 1 to 2 years max.
That's a long
Inshallah.
time. Okay. All right.
So we are working on it in the background since a couple of years, but it needs some work more to make it happen, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, very good. Sounds good. Great. Thank you. So, shall we answer some more questions right now?
Yeah.
Right. So, Rian, why in separate contracts, not two clauses in the same contract?
Because these are two contracts. We can't put two contracts in one contract, especially when they are sometimes not, or when they are sometimes contradicting. Yes, we can't put them in one contract. We have to separate them. If they are not contradicting one another, we might include them, although it's not agreed upon, but we can sometimes include two in one.
Okay, and also there's another explanation. To avoid exploitation, so that one transaction is not linked to the other. One party cannot say, I will rent my house to you, but you need to buy it. Here, the element of consent is considered. So you don't have to buy it at the end of the day. Or...
Yeah, but don't forget there's a promise to sale.
Okay.
Promise to sell, yes? Because I delivered what is required from me, and you decided at the end of the term, I don't want to sell it. Come on. And this is why we said it's from one side, it's a binding contract. Although we have some big discussion in the Hanafi school, other schools, is the promise binding or not binding? The IOFI standards, which is like the regulator for the Islamic banks, almost. And under the IOFI standard, they consider the promise is a binding promise. So they finished the discussion on whether it's binding or not binding, and that no, from regulatory point of view, it's binding.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Sounds like good things are coming. Inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala, inshallah.
Right, Rian, Bismillah. What if that promise can't be fulfilled because, for example, the seller has died and the inheritors don't accept the contract, or the seller has gone mad, lost his senses, is incompetent?
The seller is the bank. The bank will not die unless force majeure or some financial collapse or fraud, or I don't know, something very serious happen. But usually it's the bank who's the seller here.
So the seller is always the bank. So you can't just go out into the market and look for a house you like and then go to the bank and say, could
Yeah,
you?
you do this,
That's
but you do it in partnership with the bank. This is how it's done. You go and say, okay, I've seen this house, I like this house, I want to buy this house, and you go through the credit check, what have you, and all the documentation. Then you get the agreement, then you go into partnership, you pay deposit, the bank pays its share, 80 percent, 20%, or more or less. Yeah, this is how it goes. So the bank owns the house. The majority is the bank's shares.
and they cannot kick you out. What happens if you can't afford it? Can you then negotiate with them, or I like to
We
pay the
go
rent for a few months?
as anything. We go through the logic first and see if he's really in financial difficulty or he's just playing games. Yeah, if he's in financial difficulty, he might get from the bank usually, let's say, the monthly payment will be deferred and postponed till he recovers. Yes, but it can't go forever. They will give him one warning, two, but not forever. As it's a business at the end of the day, although it's Islamic, but it's a business. Yes, but they will not treat it as brutal as the conventional. They will treat it with consideration and compassion, if you want.
And out of all of the ones, would you recommend one in particular, Al Rayyan or Kuwait Finance House or Gatehouse?
They are very similar, to be honest with you. Very similar. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not very professional. Just let me put it like this. But it's definitely much better than getting into the haram. Yes, but is it ideal? No, it's not. Inshallah, hopefully something will come up better and rectify this, inshallah.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
The newcomers like Faida and the others, inshallah, they are much better. Much better. But again, I said the capital which they have is small, very small, and this can't cater for the whole community. But alhamdulillah, it's a good start. A good
Okay.
alternative, but inshallah, hopefully it will grow and become bigger.
Okay. Sounds good. Inshallah.
Because the founders of FIDA are my friends, so I know them. And I wish them all the best. But alhamdulillah, it's good, but it's not a big contributor to the market or big financial institution behind them. It's not. Inshallah, it will be one day.
Well, if they're competitive, maybe it's easier to deal, as us private people to deal with a smaller company than with a massive one.
It's like the corner shop and Sainsbury.
Yeah.
Who can get cheaper from the source? Sainsbury, not the corner shop.
I don't know, unfortunately, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. And offer as well, somebody says. All right. And so has it been done on an institutional level, at an institutional level?
Now, maybe to clarify my
Yes,
question
please.
there, it was in reference to the answer of the Sheikh that, regarding my earlier comment, like what if the seller has died, that the seller would be the bank. So it's not that if I want to sell my house to Sheikh that we can have those two contracts, but it has to be via an institutional entity like a bank in that sense. Is that to safeguard?
Usually this is the common practice here, but literally, or let's say theoretically speaking, can I sell you directly my house without a bank? Theoretically speaking, yes, but practically it has to go through the bank.
Yeah, practically,
I can make it.
the pounds and euros have to go through somewhere, but is it also because indeed otherwise it might be too risky that as a seller,
If it's cash,
you
cash
fear,
buyer, let's say if it's cash, you have the cash in your bank, you transfer to my account, we can cut the bank. We can, we can do this. Yeah.
Okay.
So theoretically speaking, but usually people don't have the cash.
Yeah, but I'm more thinking I only have 50% of the cash, whatever it is. So we need to use I need to borrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bank will
Oh, in that
finance you.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
How
was
do you get
thinking
the
more that
50%?
if me and you or with Christian is buy it, and then what if indeed they stop paying and I lose out, or
No, we
I'm
have
the seller and I go
all the
banana.
guarantees in place to
Yeah,
preserve and protect your right and protect my right.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
a mutual protection for both sides.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the main thing that I didn't fully comprehend is indeed if it's a fully cash one, then the
Mm.
whole discussion is off the paper. Then I give you a bunch of cash and you'll give me the house and we're done.
Yeah.
But it's about if
It goes through
you
the
don't
lawyers, not the bank anymore.
exactly. But if we need finance, a bank is involved anyway. So appreciate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. We still have, inshallah, something to cover next time. Bismillah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So any other questions on this one? I mean, it's very useful, very helpful. It's a great alternative, isn't it? To partner with a bank, and you only need a 20% deposit. Can you give a higher deposit and then get a better rate?
Of course, definitely.
And then you get a better rate, yeah?
Yes, of course.
But the minimum is 20%.
It might be sometimes, again, depends on the bank, sometimes 10%.
Mm.
It went even to 5% sometime, but not anymore now. Inshallah, hopefully it can come back later, but usually it's 20% and beyond.
And then you need to qualify in terms of income, etc.
Yeah. As anything, because it's a business at the end of the day. People will be upset. I went to the Islamic bank, they refused me. If their credit check is not reflecting good, viable financial security, what can we do? We can't risk it because this is amana, that the money which we have is the shareholders' money. So we are entrusted as a bank with this money. So we can't just throw the money because we are Islamic. So we have to be compassionate and throw the money left, right, and center as a charity. We are not a charity, no.
Yeah.
This is the misconception which many people has.
Yeah, I understand. Makes sense. Any other questions from our dear friends, our participants?
Okay, we can finish with dua then, inshallah.
Yeah, Bismillah. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولأزواجنا ولأصحاب الحقوق علينا. اللهم إنا نسألك الفرج العاجل غير الآجل لأهل فلسطين. فرج عن أهل فلسطين يا رب العالمين. اللهم فرج عن أهل فلسطين يا رب العالمين. اللهم فرج عن أهل فلسطين يا رب العالمين. صلي وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة
I
الله
look forward to
وبركاته.
seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much. It's very useful. And do send us the blog. It'd be good to have.
We will, inshallah, we will.
Inshallah. Thank you. And dua for the Netherlands and Rian's wishes.
Inshallah, ya Rab, ya Rab, ya Rab.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you again next week with Fairuz and our Hadith special session on ethics and manners. And wish you well, Rian. You're at the forefront of it. I mean,
It's not only me. I mean, there are 1 million Muslims, and it's not just Muslims. It's also, I mean, it's still being recorded. But
I'm gonna I was just stopping it.